I'm so excited. I feel like I'm about to have sex for the very first time. Hi friends, my name is Ibukun and welcome to Ibukun TV. Oh my god, it's been such a while since I filmed. I know life has been dealing with me. Life has been playing rough play with me. But I'm so glad to be filming once again. Last time I filmed, we were not up to like the 200 subscribers, and I think we're like 220 subscribers. So thank you guys so much for staying with me. If you are a returning subscriber, if you're a passerby, if this is your first time here, I'm so happy. Thank you for joining me. Let me welcome you to Makeup and Gist. Makeup and Gist is a series on my channel where I share with you a fascinating piece of history, gist, scandals, anything at all interesting that I think that you need to know. I'm here. I'm your girl. I gist it to you while doing my makeup. Now, today's story is a little bit dark, like the weather. Have you heard about the Jamestown Massacre? Did you ever hear about it as a child? Well, if you didn't, you'd hear about it now. And if you did, what if I told you that something similar to this happened in Africa, in Uganda to be precise? It's a classic story of how people would use the covers of religion to commit atrocities. Well, let me not get ahead of myself here. Draw my brows, and I'm gonna come back, and then we're gonna delve into this story. I'm back. Let me show a disclaimer right here, please, in advance. I am so sorry, there's some names I'm going to murder here. I did try my best to learn how to pronounce it before the video, but let's take a trip way back in time. Went to the 17th of March 2000, and we're in the southwestern Uganda Kanungu district. It's a very peaceful and quiet area. It's surrounded with deep lush hills and deep valleys. You could hear bird songs bouncing up the hills, and then you can even hear a waterfall. It sounds like the most beautiful place on earth. It's picturesque. It's a place you and Boo or you and Bae would like to go for vacation. But if you listen more attentively, all is not well. There's a certain darkness in the air, and then you realize that there's a building in a raging inferno. You listen more quietly, and then you hear people screaming for help, and then it hits you. No, the screams are coming from inside the building, and you come to the sad, shocking realizations that people are in this building and people are being burnt alive. The windows are bad shut, the doors are bad shut, there's no escaping. It's just fire, hot fire. So people in this community, they recognize this building not just as any building, but as a church. 330 people that burnt in this church were members of the movement for the restoration of the 10 commandments of God. But how did we get here? Like, what happened? How did this happen? What was their thought process? What in the heavens is happening here? The movement for the restoration of the 10 commandments of God was a group of about some 4,000 people. And then these guys, they believed that the world was going to end. They believed like we were all sinners and the world was going to end. Now, their primary goal was that for you to avoid damnation during the apocalypse, you had to believe and strictly follow the 10 commandments of God. To be able to join this group, you had to sell all your worldly possessions. You have to come and join them and live in this their area, in this their region, in the Kanungu district. The people grew their own food, the people ran their own school, the people used their own skills to contribute to labor in the community. Everything was just happening inside this community. So now the emphasis to follow the 10 commandments were like so strong that people even discouraged talking in the group because they didn't want to break the 9th commandment that says that thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Fasting was conducted regularly, and then these people, they only eat like once on Fridays and Mondays. Sex was also forbidden as the same as soap. So apparently you have your bath, but you won't use soap to bath. I don't know why that was a rule, but apparently that's what they did. Now, devotion to the movement means like once a week or every time you have to climb some mountains. You have to climb some forest. You have to go deep into the forest to go to a rock. They had a rock, and then they believed that the rock was like the depiction of the Virgin Mary. So they will go there and they regularly pray to this rock. Now, this movement believed that the world was going to end on the 31st of December 1999. Aside of the 10 commandments that they followed, they also had this other book that they religiously read. Now, this book was called A Timely Message from Heaven, the End of Present Times. All members were required to study, read it. Like, you have to do at least 6 times a week. You had to like deeply and devotedly go through all these texts. You had to live by it so that when the world ends, you wouldn't be found wanting. And then these guys, they held themselves similar to the story of Noah. Now, if you know the story, if you're a Christian, you know the story of Noah's Ark. So they had the assumption that, okay, the world is going to end and we are the modern days Noah and the Noah Ark. So we are not going to perish when the whole world ends. Although the group had split from the Catholic Church, Roman Catholicism played a very important role in the belief of this movement. And this was evident in their leadership, because the leadership was made up of primarily defrocked priests and nuns, and also all over the movement's compound you would see Christian icons. Okay guys, so it's now time to talk about the primary leaders of the movement for the restoration of the 10 commandments of God. Oh boy, that's a really long name. Before founding this movement and leading this movement, it is believed that Credonia was a shopkeeper and a banana brewer, and again a sex worker. The girl was working hard. Now, in her early 20s, people would describe Credonia as a very violent person. Now, they said she was very vindictive as well. Apparently, someone broke her heart. A local health official broke her heart, and then she retaliated by going to burn the man's household belongings. Honestly, that's not like a bad bitch. She's a savage. Love it for her. Now, after this incident happened, her parents or her family believed that, okay, she was not like, she has some mental condition, so they took her away for mental treatment. Now, there's another popular story of how there was a motorist that was just passing by Credonia's bar, and then Credonia seduced the motorist, killed him in his sleep, took away his money. And then people said that in the morning when they came to buy banana beer, they saw Credonia washing blood off the pavement. Now, another interesting thing was, allegedly, she killed all her brothers. She poisoned all her brothers. And when there was no other man for them to give the land to, they gave the land to her. Wow. Okay, so there was also this story about how Credonia used to terrorize people that refused to join the cult. Apparently, she would burn your house. She sounded like a pyromaniac, to be a bad bitch pyromaniac. So her bar went broke in 1989, and that was when apparently she had repented. So now she's no more a sex worker, she's no more selling alcohol. So she joined this group of people that they were devoted to the Virgin Mary. They had sworn of sex, and then they're just like, okay, this world is too sinful. Let's just focus on God, let's focus on the Bible. So now, during this time, it's believed that Credonia has also, like, she seems to have changed. She appeared more devout. She would read the Bible more often. There'll be times when you'll be talking to Credonia, and Credonia will just go off. Credonia is just like off. And then when she comes back, she has visions of what the Virgin Mary said she should do. And then people just started like believing her, because yeah, she was fasting regularly, she was praying, and then people even drew similarities to her. And then Mary Magdalene, we all know the story of Mary Magdalene again, if you're a Christian. The prostitute that, I don't like saying prostitute, sorry, the sex worker that found Jesus and then followed Jesus. So during this time, she met a man called Joseph Kibweteere. Now, she told Joseph that the Virgin Mary had appeared to her in a place just close to Joseph's house, and the Virgin Mary told her that this man called Joseph will help her form a group, and then this group are going to be the righteous ones, because the world was going to end. Now, the Virgin Mary told her that how the world was going to end, there was going to be famine, there was going to be war, there's water and food was going to turn to blood, like very, very sinister prophecies. Now in the group, Credonia was like the head, but she was also known as the programmer, because the Virgin Mary would communicate through her through some hidden telephone systems that include caps and plates. And then if they wanted guidance, they had questions that needed to be answered, they'll just send a message to Credonia, and Credonia will write down the answers for them. So yeah, she was like their main boss. She was the boss. Now Joseph was born in 1932 from a very pious Catholic background, and his parents were quite rich, so that means he had money. Now Joseph tried to delve into politics. He was a leader of the opposition Democratic Party in 1980, but however he dropped out after his defeat. After the loss in his election, the family then moved to Rashamire. I hope I pronounced that correctly. They owned several properties, hundreds of cattle, hundreds of farms, and a milling property as well, milling business. He was also working as an assistant supervisor of the area Catholic Church, and later he became the government overseer of buildings and agricultural products. In 1984, he claimed to have also been experiencing sightings of the Virgin Mary. In 1989, he now meets this woman, Credonia, who tells him that, the Virgin Mary had appeared to her and said that he is going to be one of the founders of this new group. And of course, because this man is very pious and religious, he's flattered that, wow, the Virgin Mary has seen all the hard work that I'm doing. So after this vision, now Credonia and her sister moves into the house of Joseph, where they live with his entire family, and then they're just like one big happy family. And then people would say that, at first Credonia was so nice to the children, she was doing house chores, but then all of a sudden things changed. Credonia became really mean. Credonia was always beating the children, insulting, fighting with the mother. Even got to a point where Credonia bent like the wardrobe of his wife, just like causing havoc, unnecessary havoc, fights, trouble. And then she started selling off properties and was talking to Joseph that Joseph should take his children out of school, and they should like sell their things and join this movement. So it made the family really alarmed. One was like, where is all this changing coming from? You, this woman, I brought you into my house, I welcomed you as my sister, and then this is what you are doing to me, this is how you are paying me back. So the family was really alarmed by all these changes again, because it seemed like Joseph was not listening to anybody. Joseph was just listening to anything. If Credonia says jump, you jump. So this really alarmed the family. So they reported this issue to the village elders, and the village elders told Joseph that, okay, this is what we're going to do. You choose between your movement, or you choose your family. You have to cut this, or you get out of our village. You don't want to be associated with all this rubbish. And Joseph was like, fine, I don't need you anyway. This is coming very soon and you all die, so I don't need you. So he decided to move out. And coincidentally, remember that farm that bad bitch had, Credonia? He was like, I even have a farm in Kanungu district though. Let's go there, we can do whatever we want there, we can preach, we can even expand. We don't need these people anymore. So that is how Joseph forsakes his family and follows Credonia up into the valleys. Now, Dominic was a priest. He was not like Credonia and Joseph that were self-acclaimed priests. He was a priest. He got a degree from the Makerere University and was a rector at the Kintabi Seminary. Now, friends would describe him as a very good counselor, a good friend, very intelligent, and very kind. Then all of a sudden, he started also seeing visions. He was seeing visions of the Virgin Mary, who would come to him and ask him to intercede on the world's behalf, because the world was going to end. The world was becoming sinful. The Catholic Church was straying away from its core belief, its core role, and he just made him really unhappy, and he wasn't pleased with what was happening in the church scene anymore. So he broke away, and then he found Credonia and he found Joseph, and then he also became a key leader in the movement for the restoration of the 10 Commandments of God. So I just want you to bear in mind that all this was happening in the 90s. The new year was coming, the movement's leaders were now preaching their messages even more, that the world was going to end come 1st January 2000. So people had to become more devout. People had to repent their sins. People had to just like live a very faithful life so that they would not be part of those that are going to suffer when the world ends. The leaders urged members to confess their sins. They asked members to sell off their property. And if you're done with this world, what do you need all these earthly possessions for? You don't need them. So they were just like dashing them. They even stopped working. At some point, they stopped working on their farms. They were just in their house chilling, just like not chilling, but still. But they were just in their house reading the Bible, reading their book. I mean, I can really imagine how they felt. Like, you wake up, like, you know that the next day, like, you are so sure in your heart, like, you are convinced that the world is going to end. And then you go to bed thinking that, oh, you're waiting for the trumpets, you're waiting for the sound, you're just waiting for something. And then come 1st January 2000, the world is not ending. The world it's not even looking like it's going to end. The sun still rises, you can still hear the cock crow. Like, so of course they had questions. I mean, everyone will have questions. They also had questions. They're like, we need answers. What is happening? So they start questioning Credonia, Joseph, and Dominic that, Oga, Auntie, you said the world was going to end. We are still here. What's happening? And then these guys have stories. Oh, it's been postponed. The word Virgin Mary appeared to me. It's been postponed. They said we should wait because some of you are not still loyal. You are not being faithful. So they've given us more time to intercede. People that believed. Other people was like, nah, this is some cock and bull story. This is some bullshit story. This is not it. Charlie, where's my money? I sold this and this to join your organization. I did this. I owe my money. Where's my money? The movement's lost its all momentum. And then that was when they believed that disappearances started happening. If you talk today, tomorrow morning we can't find you. So people would think that, oh, maybe he just ran away from the court. Apparently people were just vanishing. Like, people were just like, they wouldn't know where someone, like, immediately you talk against Credonia or Joseph, the next day you are gone. January passed, February passed, Easter wasn't coming, the world wasn't ending soon. Then all of a sudden, Madame Credonia was like, oh, the Virgin Mary has appeared to her again, and then the world was going to end in March, like March 17th, the world was going to end. So on the fourth night of March 17th, they had a big party. They threw a very huge, elaborate party. They had food, they had drinks, they're about to end, we're going to go to heaven, like, let's have fun. And then they all went, so March 17th, and then they all went into the church. Okay, now let's go and pray and be awaiting the coming of Christ. And while they were in the church, a fire started. The windows were bad shut, the doors were bad shut, there was no escaping. There were about 330 people in the church that day. So this fire would rage for hours. And then there was no escaping. So everybody that was in the room that day was scorched to death. Authorities would come to the scene and then they would start conducting investigations. And then they would hear stories of how they had seen a week before they had seen one of the cult leaders buying sulfuric acid, which was believed to have been used to cause the fire. Investigators would do a deep search around the church, and then they would find bodies. They would find bodies littered around. In the house of Dominic, our priest, they found at least 81 bodies under a newly poured cement. Like, he was building a house and then he had just put the bodies in there. They would find over 74 bodies strangled, mutilated. I mean, it was just a horror show. And then even on the pilgrimage, when they go to worship their Virgin Mary, they would see people strangled with banana leaves. They were like bodies just littered around in pits, shallow graves. So they would kill someone and just like hurriedly bury them. I mean, the whole community was just littered with bodies. Like, this is where things even get wild. So at first they believed that Joseph and Credonia were part of the people that were set ablaze, but they could never confirm it. So as we speak, like right now, this video goes live, Joseph and Credonia can be very much alive. Like, they are very much alive. They are out there in the world living their best life. Apparently they said there was this rumors that said that he might be in Malawi, and then even Interpol issued an arrest for them. They have not been found up to today, so they are definitely out there after killing thousands of people. And one thing that really struck me as well when I was reading the story was the fact that they said apparently Joseph was diagnosed as a manic depressive, so he was starting treatment for mental health, but he just stopped it. So it's possible like a madman, he was not on treatment, he was not on drugs, was just seeing visions, and then he claimed that these visions, or he was just seeing things, and then he claimed that these visions were from God. This story was quite a heavy story. I tried to make it as light as possible, but like, what is your final thoughts about this? I know what I think about this story. I'm just going to take you to church real quick. Let's open our Bibles to Matthew 7 verse 15, and it reads, "Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves." That's what this story just like strikes me. Of course, you'd have pastors, you'd have priests, you'd have nuns, you'd have, I'm afraid to mention the other people before they come for me, but you know them, doing horrible things, and then they put it in the name of religion, they put it in the name of Christianity, they put it in the name of Islam. It's really terrifying. So that's my parting words from you. I heard it from the Bible. Beware of these false prophets. I feel like there are so many things that could have been done to prevent this from happening. First of all, from the government, where were the regulatory bodies? Why weren't people just watching all these groups? Like, were they registered? What did they believe in? Also, mental health, if mental health was taken seriously, if I feel like if Joseph had like a proper help, if maybe Credonia had a proper help, not to justify what they did, but it was horrible. But I felt like at the same time, so many steps could have been taken so that we don't have something like this happening. But guys, I think that is where I'm going to leave you. Thank you so much. I know I haven't filmed in a while. Thank you for staying with me. Please like, please subscribe, please share this story with someone. Let's grow this family. Bye.